Okay, so I am going to go ahead and get started in just a couple of minutes. And um, I hope you can hear me. If you can hear me, please put a yes in the chat for me. That way I know that for sure you can hear me and I'm not just talking to myself in this office. Okay. um, I I think we're about ready to go. I usually ask that everyone mute their microphone and also not have video. I just prefer that for today. I think it makes people feel more comfortable that they don't have to feel inclined to put themselves on video, but I also think it's a little less distracting for myself. So I know that we're a couple minutes early today. That's kind of new. Usually I'm running 1 or 2 minutes behind, so this is good. I'm just going to wait a couple minutes until other people get on here. I'm seeing people join, so we've got a good number of participants today, so that's great. All right. I'll go ahead and start with some house rules and introductions, and we'll go from there. Again, mute your microphone, ask questions in the chat box. If you have any questions for me, please feel free to put those in chat, and I should be able to get to those. We also have a couple of developers standing by who are watching the chat for us, and they'll be able to help answer your questions too. So this is a great time to bring your questions if you have them. Also, generally, the first 20 minutes will be a presentation, and the second 20 minutes I will answer questions. And the questions do not have to be about the presentation. They can be about your individual websites. If you have questions about how to edit or add something to your website, this is a good time for that, because then other people can also see the types of questions that are coming and get answers that they may not, to questions that they may not know that they even had. So that would be great if you had a couple. And of course, be respectful of others, and I think we all do that just fine. So I do this at the beginning of every webinar, just in case there's some people who may not have joined us before. And also, these are recorded, so they are available online, and it helps people understand who we are. My name is Ann Griesel, and I am part of the biology IT team here at Iowa State. This team is comprised of a lot of people from both colleges of CALS and LAS, and also people from across campus that have joined us and started working with the team. Essentially, we have created a Drupal platform called Luggage, and these trainings are based on that platform and those that are editing in that platform. It is based in Drupal 7, so if you're a Drupal editor, these may be useful for you as well. And that's kind of how we get started. Luggage Showcase. If you have not visited the Luggage Showcase, feel free to do that. You can go to luggagedocs.iastate.edu and click on the Showcase button. This will show you luggage sites from across campus that are not just maintained by Biology IT, but you can see that there's several other areas on campus that are maintaining luggage Drupal websites as well. We also have some feature examples. If you go to the feature examples page listed there, you will be able to see how people are using the various features like blog, or there's even podcasting now, and video, news and events. So you can see some good examples of sites that are doing a good job at using those features. And Digital Access. Digital Access is a website that is built by Zaira Jordan. She is the accessibility coordinator for Iowa State and has worked very closely with us in making sure that this platform is web accessible, meaning that anyone who has low vision or even a temporary ailment is going to be able to visit and view and experience the website. This could be for someone like who may have just broken their arm. Maybe you broke your right arm and it's hard for you to use a mouse, but you can tab through a website easier. This website will work for you. It's also mobile friendly and many other things like making sure that we have image captions and such. So it's very important to us to keep the platform web accessible, and you can learn more about that from her website as well. Okay. Are there any questions so far? I know I just did an introduction, but maybe if you had any questions, John Rierick did put those links in the screen, so please feel free to look at those as we go through today. All right. This is going to be a fairly brief webinar, I think, but I felt that it was important. Something new happened when the new ISU theme came out, and if you did not see our last webinar, we hope to have that up soon. We are currently captioning those webinars, but there is one on the ISU theme that I think would be nice for you to see. I know that we have the homepage webinar up that Sarah and I gave last month, so feel free to view that one as well, and you can learn more from those. Let me switch my screen just a second here. There we go. Okay. This website may look familiar to you. I will try to hide my bookmarks. I might take some, there you go, have some more real estate there. This is the Iowa State homepage. You can see that it's in the new theme, and you can see that one of the things that changed with the new theme is the footer. The footer is very nice now. It is more organized, and you'll see that it's a little bit bigger. And what we're striving for here is consistency across websites, so that when people come to an Iowa State University website, they are familiar with the footer. Footers tell people contact information, how to get a hold of that main office or department. It also has links to certain ISU policies, social media, and that sort of thing. And so what we're going to do is go through each of these boxes in the footer and talk a little bit about them. And I'm going to show you some examples of how websites are using these footer blocks. So the first block you'll see here has, I don't know if you can see my cursor, probably not, but it is the Iowa State University stacked, what's called the stacked word mark. And essentially, it's a nice secondary word mark that you can use in places like the footer. So that's a good thing. And that should remain in that location on every website for Iowa State. And underneath, you may choose to not have anything, or you can actually put the name of your college and link to it, or colleges, because some groups and departmental programs have multiple colleges that support their program. So you can list those there. The nice thing about that is that people outside of the university will understand which college you're associated with. Sometimes that's very difficult for those that aren't familiar with ISU organizational structure to learn. So, and especially prospective students, it's nice to know, oh, that's the College of Agriculture and Life Sciences, okay. And this one is Liberal Arts and Sciences, or this program is part of both. So that's just a nice thing to do. The next block you'll see is consistent with contact information. This can be your full address, for example. You know that the new ISU the Postal Service has now determined that ISU should have building addresses, not just like with street names and address, numbers and not just like Science 2, like I used to put all the time. So make sure that you add that 2310 Pamela Drive, 339 Science 2, like for us, which would be the main office. That's a good place to put your full address. Obviously, Iowa State University as a whole has many addresses, and so it's probably a challenge to just pick one to put there. So obviously, they have put the location of the city and state. You can have contact information like email. We recommend that at minimum you have an email there. You do not necessarily need to have a phone number, but at least an email. Mainly so that if someone has a question in regards to your website, they have a place to go. And that's really essentially a main requirement, because it's hard if you have an outside visitor who's trying to ask a question or has an issue with the website, who to contact to get that information answered. And a phone number if you want. And like ISU's done here, more contacts. And again, that's really because this is a broad website, and so that's why I'm sure they have the more contacts listed there. I'm hoping that people can hear me. I see that someone is having trouble with volume. If you are having trouble with volume, I think you can go to your Zoom settings and maybe increase that volume. So that may be something that you could try and see if it will help. The third block is for, okay, sorry, just a second here. I was just trying to make sure that everybody got questions answered. Okay. All right. The third block is for social media, and that's a good place to put social media if you have it. If you don't have social media, I do have a couple or at least one example of a website I'm going to show you that doesn't or didn't want to necessarily promote it in that space, and so they have a little paragraph there, and that's fine. But it's a good place to put that, mainly for consistency. So essentially, this just keeps all of the Iowa State websites consistent, which means that they're more accessible. Because when people understand how the ISU websites work, they will be able to access the information a lot easier. And then the fourth block is the copyright. So in that block, you'll put copyright, Iowa State University and Technology, all rights reserved statement, and then below is, and should be, the links to the non-discrimination policy and the accessibility link and privacy policy links. So that's a standard and really a must for Iowa State University websites to provide that information to people. And again, it's nice to just have it in the same place everywhere on every site. Okay, so that's basically the rundown. Now I'm going to show you just a couple examples. So NREM is a department that I'm part of, and so I just picked them to show. You can see that the college is listed below the stacked nameplate, and this link will take you directly to the college website. So if I click that, I go directly to the college website. It looks like that might even be the wrong link. We're gonna check that. Department of Natural Resource Ecology Management, so title of the department, and the full address listed here with phone number and fax. And then you can see that this department likes to promote their seminar series. So make sure that when you click here, you'll be taken to your, you'll be taken to a seminar series, and that's okay. If you'd like to promote something on your website there like that, which is a fairly big deal, you could do that. Instead of putting social media icons here, we have a site index and sitemap with luggage that comes with luggage automatically, and that will appear in the footer. You may also, if you have a lot of social media, for example, want that to be displayed up above the search and behind the search. So that's something that you're going to want to think about as well. And then the copyright is over on the right with the policy links. And I'm told that now we're good to go. Sorry, guys. Okay, next is Department of Entomology. So for the Department of Entomology, we have the footer links as well, and we could put the college underneath. This is just an example without the college listed underneath, contact information, etc. So I think we understand that. Sorry, I gotta keep moving this around here to get to it. Here's an example of a website that's part of Extension and Outreach. And you can see that Extension and Outreach stacked logo is here, making sure to follow brand. And then you can see that Extension and Outreach website is listed here as well. And then you have another link for extension partners, etc. And you can see where the social media links are here, and also the site index and sitemap, and then your policy links. And Extension has, or ICM specifically has additional policies, and so they've listed those in that block in the proper location. So that's where you'd want to put those. Department of Econ. Here's Department of Economics. And again, you can see that things are following suit. You have a full address here. We've got social media links. And they also promote Ask an Economist and have in their case, have a department intranet link. That's a rarity, but that's definitely okay and a place to put it. And then contact us, link here too, which is fine. And the policy links on the right. I'll show you one more. Wildlife. This is the one I was talking about where you're going to have multiple links. This is a program that's part of Extension, but it's housed within a department here at Iowa State. So you can see that there's a departmental reference here, there's Extension and Outreach here, and there's also a college listed here. So that is definitely appropriate and okay to do to show how your program is supported and who's supporting your program. And then your contact information here. And in this case, instead of having social media links, we have a little mission statement to fill that space, which works nicely, and then policy links. So there are a few ways that you can personalize the footer, but as you can see, for the most part, all the blocks have similar information across the board, so that those that visit Iowa State sites can actually visit and look at the footer and know that they're going to get that basic information in the footer that they're looking for. Do you have any questions for me in regards to footer? Okay. I just want to make sure that everyone is good there. I told you it's going to be short, and it was pretty short, but it is something to think about. And especially if you're looking to put your website into the luggage platform, that's one of the first things we're going to ask for is what information should be in the footer blocks. And it's something that you can think about right away so that we get it done right away. And I have a question here about how to make changes in the footer and if it's something that you can do. And the answer to that is unfortunately not. I hope that in the next version in Drupal 8 that may be possible. Here's the reason. The reason is if we give you ability to edit that footer, we kind of give you the keys to the kingdom, which I'd be happy to do, and I'd be happy to give you those keys. The problem is Sometimes there may be an option or 2 or 10 available to you, and if you don't know exactly what it is that you're doing, you could make your site not look so good. And I don't want you to have that experience. So in order to keep everything consistent and in order to keep it basically so that you don't have any opportunity to really hurt the site, we're going to make those changes for you. It's one of those places where we feel that once the content is added, it's consistent. So it should be fairly static. Once you have that information in the footer, it should not change. And if you do need something changed in the footer, we can generally give a fairly quick response to that in getting that changed for you. Yep, and so if you have any changes for the footer, I'd recommend that you email websupport@iastate.edu and we will get that changed for you. No problem. And John put that in the chat as well. Are there any other questions, either about the footers or about things that you're working on your own websites that I can help with? Don't be bashful, because we'd be happy to help. And yes, there are tutorial videos that you can watch. I will go to luggagedocs.info.iastate.edu, and once you go here, you can click on User Guide and Tutorials, and you'll be able to see a whole list of the different tutorials on how to edit. Also, what we've started doing is once you log into your website, you will see a tutorials link in the admin bar, and you can click on the word tutorials that will take you directly to this page. So hopefully that will help as well. And we are looking for your feedback eventually, but we're also trying in the next, as we build the next Drupal 8 version here, to try to focus on tutorials in regards to providing links and help text and getting you access to those as well, kind of so that they appear when you may need them. So okay. One thing I wanted to mention to show you as well, which I think is actually quite neat, is some sites have started to put the site index and sitemap up underneath the search bar. And this tends to work really well because those two links have a lot to do with search. They help you find content. So when you click on the site index, this can help people who may not know exactly what they're looking for, or they do, and they just want to see the word for it. This is basically your tags that are listed here. So if somebody clicked on egg economics, they're going to get content that's related to that specific tag. You can also click on sitemap, which the sitemap essentially is kind of like your main menu items and sub-menu items, so that someone could just see your whole sitemap and be able to scroll through and look at content in that way. So really they have a lot to do with search, and they're very helpful when it comes to doing a search. So it is nice to have those up there if you'd like them. Okay. Are there any other questions about anything that you're working on or working with? Okay. I always do this every time, and then someone always tells me they had one and we're waiting, so I just wanted to give a second to make sure. All right. Please feel free to email web support at any time. If you have a question that you'd like to ask, we're more than happy to help. If you have ideas for webinars, please send those as well. And you can send that to websupport@iastate.edu also. I do have the next few scheduled, but they're fairly tentative. I mean, I can update the topics based on what it is that you're interested in, and I'm happy to do that. So please give me suggestions if you have them or you'd like to learn more about something. I'd be happy to do it. Also, if you have a website that you would like in the new theme and is not in the new theme, please let me know and we can prioritize that. And there's one more thing I was going to tell you or ask you. And of course I forgot. Yeah, I guess if you haven't viewed the homepage webinar, that would be a good place to start as well. If you want to look at that, if you're moving your site to the new theme, because it is a little bit different and it works quite nicely.